Hello everybody, welcome to Wild Boy Movies, the place to talk movies, and today we're going to be reviewing The First Omen, a prequel to the 1976 horror film The Omen. Right now I'm going to have some information up on screen for you to read, like director, MPAA rating, runtime, all of that will be up on screen for you to read right now. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below your thoughts on The First Omen. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into the pros. Alright, starting off, I gotta go ahead and praise the acting in this movie because the actors in this movie did a pretty good job. And there were two actors that stood out particularly. First off, Nell Tiger Free, who was like the main character of the movie, of this woman who wants to become a nun. I really like that character in the movie, and the stuff that she goes through, we're gonna elaborate on that in a second. But just her character and the way that she is connected to the church was just handled so well. And the other actor that I gotta give big praise to is Ralph Ineson, who plays the character of Father Brennan, someone that we saw in the original 1976 Omen movie. I feel like that he did like a great job in this movie, and really gives me hope that he could do great as Galactus in the MCU Fantastic Four movie. Also gotta go ahead and like talk about like the church's plan in the movie, because essentially they want to create the Antichrist so that they have a reason for people to go to church, which I thought that was kind of like an interesting aspect in the movie. And the execution of the movie is honestly insane. Like, I cannot begin to explain like what the church does to try to give birth to the Antichrist. Like, that is something that I don't think we have seen really done in like these religious horror movies. And me, who's really only seen like the Conjuring movies, it was kind of like a good change of formula to that particular subgenre. I also gotta praise like the horror in this movie, because this is truly one disturbing movie. Like, it's up there with disturbing movies like Sinister and Smile, but the stuff that happens in this movie might be worse than what we saw in those movies, because there is some pretty graphic stuff in this movie, particularly tying it into the Antichrist plot of the movie, to where one scene of the movie almost gave this film an NC-17, which I thought was very interesting. And even with this edited to an R rating, it is so insanely disturbing. And that's that way towards different parts of the movie. Like, I was not expecting like the kills of the movie to be shockingly violent and gory. And like the first 5 minutes contains like a very shocking kill and tease you for what to expect later on. That really got me interested in seeing what else is gonna go down in the rest of the movie. And then when we get to like that last 20 minutes, it is just insanely disturbing. Like, what goes down in this scene, which is essentially the birth of the Antichrist, is so insanely disturbing that it makes the ending a lot more terrifying. But this is truly like one messed up movie in terms of like disturbing factor. And I praise that the movie went that far, because that's generally what horror movies should do. They should push the boundaries of what should be in a horror movie. I also gotta go ahead and praise the relationship between Carlotta and Margaret, because the two of them bond closer when horrifying things start happening in this church, and how they're both connected to it. Like, that is just like some good writing that this movie had. But honestly, the biggest pro I can give this movie, that it was good. Now, I unfortunately was not interested in this movie. Like, the trailers did not do anything to get me excited for the movie. But because I wanted to review more movies that came out in 2024, And plus, with it being on Disney Plus through the Hulu add-on, I decided to why not check out the movie. And it surprised me with being a good movie. Like, I'm not saying that this is like one of the best horror movies ever made, but I'm also not saying that it's bad. Maybe it was because my expectations were kind of lowered for this movie, so I wasn't expecting much, but I'm happy that I was proven wrong and that I enjoyed this movie. So yeah, this movie was definitely a big surprise for me. I quite enjoyed it, but that isn't to say that there aren't some issues with it, leading me to my cons. And really, I couldn't really think of much cons in the movie, other than like some disturbing stuff that happens in it, but that's more a positive side that they actually did it and was pushing the boundaries of horror movies. But like the only con I have with this movie is like the first 20 minutes of it. Because after the title card of the movie happens, it takes its time in setting up the characters and getting you invested in them so that you care about them once things start going wrong. And I definitely felt the runtime with like those first 20 minutes. Not saying that it was entirely bad, but it was just kind of like the most boring part of the movie. It's like dealing with those first 20 minutes before the first real horrific thing happens and the plot starts to kick in. But other than that, I had a good time with this movie and quite frankly enjoyed it. And was happy to be proven wrong on a movie that looked bad that ended up being good. So for my scorecard, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars for the star rating. The score out of 10, 7.3 out of 10. The percentage, 73%, with a grade of C, with my final verdict being surprisingly good. But that was my review for the first Omen. I definitely want to hear from you guys on what you guys thought about the movie. So go ahead and leave that down below in the comments. And also don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. And have a great day.